I did my GCSEs nearly 3 years ago now, and wow, I feel so old just saying that. But anyways, here is your ultimate guide to GCSEs. GCSEs are pretty easy, and trust me when I say this because I've done 2 years of A-levels, and when you're in A-levels, you're going to be begging to go back to GCSEs because A-levels are just that hard. So the question is, how exactly do you ace your GCSEs at the same time building up skills that will not only help you in A-levels, but also in the future when you go to university, or perhaps, even run your own business or do a job. By the way, if my background looks a bit different, it's because I'm not in Dubai anymore. I've moved to Canada for university. I'm doing a bachelor's in engineering, and I made a vlog on it. You can go ahead and check it out right over here. Anyways, back to the video. The first and most important skill that you need to learn is time management, because this will not only help you in GCSEs but anywhere you go in life. The reason I say time management is so important when it comes to your GCSEs is because you're going to have around 7 to 8 subjects, but when you're in A-levels you only have around 3 to 4, so it's still slightly more manageable. But when it comes to GCSEs, I don't know how I survived it, but you have 7 to 8 subjects that you just need to balance equally and get good grades in all 8 of them. Now, how exactly do you build these time management skills? The answer is quite simple. You just become self-aware. Now, when I say self-awareness, what I essentially mean is that for a week, track every single thing that you do for every single hour. So for example, track how many hours you scrolled on Reels, track how many hours you scrolled on TikTok, how many hours of YouTube videos you watch, how many hours you studied, whatever it is, manage it. And by the end of the week, maybe make like a pie chart or something like that to see what took up most of your time, whether that was you sleeping a lot, whether that was you scrolling unnecessarily. Once you do that, you're going to become self-aware, and you're going to realize where your time is being wasted or where your time is being utilized. And then you're going to start to take action. Now, the way you're going to take action is by creating a Google Calendar. You want to create a Google Calendar because that will allow you to basically know where you're using all of your time. So for example, if you create a Google Calendar for the entire week, you'll know exactly what you're doing on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, at what time. Not only will this skyrocket your productivity, you'll know exactly what to be doing at any given time. So for example, if right now it is, let's say 8 p.m. at night, you're gonna go and look at your calendar and you're gonna say, oh, I'm meant to be going to the gym by now, or I'm meant to be doing this by now. So you'll know exactly what to do, and that will take you so many places in the long run. Now, in terms of subjects, you're going to have around 8 subjects. What I want you to do is, if you take one of these main subjects, which is maths, physics, chemistry, or bio, you want to give more time to them because they are the subjects that you're more likely to take in A-levels as well. So whatever subjects you're going to be taking in A-levels, I would say give more time to them. And then obviously, you can equally distribute the rest of the time. But what you need to make sure is that you adjust it according to your needs. For example, if let's say I'm doing amazing at maths, but I'm struggling a lot in physics, I won't give maths and physics the same amount of time because that won't just make sense, because I won't progress exactly in physics, but even though and in maths I'll stay stagnant. So what you want to do is, if you're struggling in a subject, give more time to it so that you become better at it. If you're doing amazing in a subject, I'm not saying completely stop studying it, keep doing it, but just lower the frequency, because you need to focus on all 8 subjects and make sure that you get a good grade in all 8 subjects. And you won't be able to do that by giving equal amounts of attention to all 8 subjects. You need to diversify and see which one you have to give more attention to and which one you have to give less attention to. Now, once you've learned time management, then comes stage 2. Stage 2 is study techniques. But before we move on to study techniques, let me tell you about Revise. Believe it or not, I actually create my own content on Revise, which you can go ahead and check out in the description below. Revise essentially takes doom scrolling and makes it productive. Instead of rotting your brain away every time you scroll, why not make your scrolling productive by learning GCSE content every single time you scroll? And it's not just some boring platform, it's super interactive, with each capsule having at least 3 quizzes that you can test yourself on. Revise was launched last week, and I became one of the first creators to ever create a capsule on it. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and download Revise right now and learn as you scroll. Now, let's get back to the video. Study techniques is something that I'm really passionate about because they don't teach us that at school. And in my opinion, learning how to study is more important than what you study. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different study techniques. Now, what you have to do is see which one works for you. A good study technique is one that gives you the best results while consuming less of your time. 2 of the most efficient study techniques that are talked about are active recall and spaced repetition. I've made a video on both of these. You can check that out in the description below. But essentially, active recall is when you go ahead and do a pause paper, it forces you to recall whatever you've learned. And spaced repetition is basically when you learn something, when you try to combat the forgetting curve by learning something at increasing time intervals. So for example, if I study like trigonometry today, I'm probably going to forget it in a week's time if I don't revise it. So what spaced repetition does is I would study it today. I would study it day after tomorrow. Then I would study it after maybe like 5 days, then maybe a week, then maybe 2 weeks, and maybe a month. That way you have this increasing time interval where you're gonna basically keep remembering it, and it's gonna stick in your brain forever. So step number 2 is basically to see what works for you and then stick to it, because consistency is the most important habit that you can have. If you find a study technique that works, stick to it. Don't try to change it up. Just stick to it and see what happens. Now, step number 3 is past papers. You want to be abusing those past papers. Do as many as you can, because there's a lot of time where you get, repeated questions or questions with a similar style, just, with different wordings. So the more past papers you spam, the more, your chances go up of having a good grade. Now, I know I just said spam past papers, but what if I told you there's actually an efficient way to do past papers? Listen up. When you sit down to do a past paper, let's say the time limit is 1 hour, so 60 minutes. What you want to do is, first of all, when you first do like your first past paper, you want to give yourself 80 minutes to complete it. Now, as you keep doing, and let's say you're on your 30th past paper, I want you to give yourself 40 minutes or 45 minutes, no more than that, even though the actual time limit is 60. Because what you're practicing to do is, in the exam, you want to have a bit of extra time at the end so that you can go ahead and review your questions after. Oh, and also when you sit down to do that past paper, lock in, log in, because put up a timer, put anything, remove any distractions possible, and just focus on that past paper. Now, once you've completed your past paper, what I want you to do is put up the marking scheme and then start marking your paper. And be as strict as you can. Like, don't think, oh, this is close enough, I might as well give myself the mark. Don't do that, because I know I did it and I messed up. I should not have done that. So take my word. That is one of the worst mistakes that you can make, because then you're not learning anything from your mistakes. So mark yourself wrong, and then all of the questions that you've done wrong, go ahead and redo them. If you still cannot, even while looking at the marking scheme, you don't understand how you're working it out, go ahead to YouTube and search up that paper, and then look at someone else's explanation. Now, once you've looked at their explanation, without looking at what other their working is, do the question again yourself. Keep doing it until you get the right answer. That is the only way to learn. And that's literally it. These 3 things that I just told you about. The first one being, your time management. The second one being like taking a study habit and sticking to it. And the third one being doing past papers effectively. If you do these 3 throughout your GCSEs, I promise you're going to get an insane grades. When I say insane grade, I mean like A's and A stars. Now, not only will these 3 things help you in GCSEs, but also when you go to A levels, you will have a competitive advantage, because all 3 things are used in A levels. Not only in A levels, but even in university, when you graduate, whenever you're working, whether you're doing a business job, whatever it is, time management, learning the proper study techniques or whatever it is, all of these will come handy later on in life. So if you start now, who knows how much this will benefit you in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave a like down below. Please subscribe to the channel as well. You can go ahead and check out my vlog on moving from Dubai to Canada, and you can subscribe to the channel right over here. I'll see you with another video very soon. Take care and goodbye.